Actually, what,
Oh, pausing. One moment.
pause. The topic for our builders call today, thank you, Selena, cue the video, is how to create massive momentum in the next 90 days. And the reason why we're doing this topic today is because um, within the next 120 days, we have a major event called EXPCon. And let me just, we're going to begin with the end in mind to get you thinking in a way that you may not be thinking right now. And there was someone that attended EXPCon in 2023, just as a checking it out. And I want to see what the company is about. What are these people about? And had such an incredible experience. They joined EXP. And in 2024, which was last year's EXPCon, I was in the group chat, and this person said that the last year they had spent in their business had been unbelievable. They had closed 6 agent to agent referrals that had come within the EXP network. And the thing that was the defining moment for them was attending that event because they caught a vision of something they couldn't even comprehend or see, not something that anybody could have even wrapped their minds around without being physically present at that event. And so major decisions are made at major events. And EXPCon coming up in October is a place for anyone that is in the real estate industry that wants to level up, grow, and potentially completely transform the trajectory of their business and their future. It is the event to be in the room for, based on the quality of speakers that will come from within our community and the ones that they will bring in from outside the community in other industries. Jesse Itzler last year was just freaking unbelievable. Will Gadara, who wrote Unreasonable Hospitality and runs the #1 restaurant in the world, and how they got to that, just incredible. And then, of course, all of the real estate stuff. So, for those of you that have read this, how many of you have read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by John Covey? Okay, that was my first personal development book that I read almost 30 years ago in my 20s. So, if we begin with the end in mind, and EXPCon is the going to be the biggest event to leverage catapulting growth, we can work backwards starting today with a very clear plan and intention that will be unique and specific to each person that's on this call. And so what I'm going to do today is lay out a blueprint and a roadmap specifically of what to do to focus on over the next 90 days to create momentum so that you can go into that event maximizing that event and then the return of that. So if for those of you that haven't heard Brent Gove's story, when he talks about his first event, he had 18 people that went with him to his first EXP event, and from that, that was the foundation that grew an organization to close to 20,000 agents in his seven generations today. And so we have time right now, which is the beautiful thing. We have this ramp up time to be in process, right? Based on the individual visions that each of you have. So here's what I want to start with, and here's the roadmap and the formula. Point number 1 is going to be, how are you articulating what your vision is? For people that are speaking their vision, you're speaking the future into existence. So what are you telling people? What is your message to the market of what you're creating that allows or creates a space for other people to see themselves in that space where they want to be part of what you're creating because there's a place for them based on their vision that sits inside of yours. So let's start off with that. How would you, just for those of you that are on the call today, and for those of you that have been at the retreat, we've done some work on this, but how would you finish that sentence? My vision is, I know Kim's got hers. Look at there. She's got it. She's got it. She went to get it. She got off the treadmill. Will you share?
Yeah, for sure. Just
Yeah.
the one liner.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna haul ass and take all my friends with me. And
I love
it is exactly what I'm doing. And I think about it and I laugh because I'm like, well, that's kind of silly. And then I'm like, no, it's not. Because
it's
we've had two wonderful retreats at your home there in Pacific Grove, and it's been fun to watch everybody when they come out of that event or, the retreats. Like Betsy's on freaking fire. She's recruiting a brokerage right now, a boutique. And it's just, did she book a call with you yet?
not
If not,
yet.
she's fixing to. Yeah. So it's just fun. And I love these ladies or people. I mean, they're boys and girls, but it's incredible to like, when everybody says, oh, design the life you want and blah, blah, blah. And that sounds all cool. But when you actually start doing it, it's like, holy macaroni. This is like what they were talking about. And it's
Yeah.
exciting. And it just builds momentum and it builds momentum in their lives too. And you can see once it clicks, it's like, look out, here they come. And it's
Yep. I love that. So Kim, you've been here how many years?
a little over four,
A little over 4, and the size of your organization today is
238,
238. And when did you actually start building an organization?
about 6 months in, because I didn't want to. And you uncovered that. That's why I didn't want to.
So we've got a few years, let's call it 3.5, right? 236 agents, and that is pretty game changer when it comes to, you're definitely beating the joint income for a dual income household in the United States with revenue share.
Mm.
So think about, I just want everybody to think about the power of that. You're still selling real estate, right? You've been
Absolutely.
selling real estate the entire time, but as you're selling real estate, you've built an organization over the last 3.5 years that is paying you in revenue share what exceeds the dual income national average income in the United States.
Yeah. Last year, I think it was 106,000. And then we're on track, if my math is correct, and my math is usually correct because I like numbers, just like Jesse, um, that we should hit 300 pretty easy this by the end of the year.
I love that. So from a vision perspective, when you say you want to haul ass and take all your friends with you, this is the energy of creating a movement of people that want to be a part of something that or it's going to change their business and change their life. So when you start to think about, and this is the power of the vision piece and being able to speak the vision that you have into existence, there's a bunch of other things that are going to go with that, and I know that because of how closely we've been working together as that organization grows and builds. But um, if I look at Debbie Pelham, who put hers in the chat, she's part of your organization, and her vision is to move from a transactional life to a leveraged legacy. Now, why that's so important is if that's her messaging in the marketplace and she's working with agents to do that, there's all kinds of things about transactional treadmills, the fatigue that comes from that. How do you grow with leverage versus growing with more personal manpower? How do you bring other people into something that's way more energizing to create and see the success of others, where the success of the whole is tied to the success of the individual, just rather than the success of the individual being the success of the individual? That's almost a tongue twister. I was finding my words getting jumbled in my mouth as I was saying it. You can see like Kim's got her vision very clear. Debbie's in your organization with a clear vision. And so there's a synergy that's getting created. And as you add more and more people to that, it builds more and more steam, right? So you were referring to Betsy. Betsy's been with EXP how many years? She's in Texas.
She's probably 3 years, maybe just a hair over.
Yeah, 3 years. And she hasn't focused on the building of an organization really at all
No,
until now. Until
right.
now, right? And so now you get someone like Betsy that came for the retreat, and what's possible, she caught a vision during that time, and now she's got a vision to be able to communicate and immediately is moving to action and influence with it. So step number 1 in the 90-day sprint to create momentum is, how are you finishing the sentence? My vision is. How often are you communicating that to the people that you're speaking with if you're working belly to belly, or in your social media messaging, and how that runs through? How often is that running through your social media messaging? How are you tying your vision and the declaration of your vision into your stories that you may be doing every day, or into more long form content that is going to be like a permanent post that's there? And Bree said in the chat, social is everything and it's why I'm here. Yeah, it's a platform to be able to get that message to the marketplace, right? So for Bree, that you've been doing that, right? And you've got a foundation of doing that, and influence doing that, and eyeballs doing that. Now, as you hone in on a vision of what your vision is moving forward in this next chapter, you've already got the eyeballs because you've built that over time. And the declaration of that vision for people to see themselves in that is key. Fatima, we're going to get to your vision is to be in constant flow of momentum. Any tips to get to that kind of recruitment results? Yes, it's going to be in the foundation of the plan that we're talking about today. So for those of you that are not yet clear on how you'd finish that sentence, my vision is a place to look is your own personal story of where you have been in your life before now today, why you came to EXP based on the vision that you saw, and if anything is possible, which it is, moving forward, utilizing this community, this platform, and the resources that are available here. What is the vision for the future, right? A lot of times we want to tell the story of the past, but we neglect to tell the story of the future, the vision that we're speaking into existence of what we're committed to creating. The story of the past is important because it's relatable for people that might be in that same space. And so it gives you influence with people when you connect to a story of the past that can relate to you. But don't forget to add in the vision of the future that acts as a pull that can pull them into something different, and not just leave them in a space of, yes, I relate with you. Like, what are we doing to solve that and move it forward? Any questions on the story and the vision piece before we move on to number 2? Or comments? Totally open for comments too. Okay, number 2 is, and this is so important, and for those of you that have heard, and you guys are all successful real estate agents, been in the industry, created success at a high level, I can see based on the people that are on this call, is that when we take the time to physically write our goals, our dreams, our vision, it starts the creative process and puts that in motion. And so who is going to be part of that becomes the next question. And the way that our minds are geared is they're like heat-seeking missiles. And here's what I mean by that. So in 2015, when Rick and I are like in the place that we were in, which is all 9 Keller Williams brokerage is gone, 1.4 million in debt. He moved his license to a 2-person independent brokerage where he was friends with the broker. And we're asking the question, over the next 3 to 5 years, how do we recreate what took 30 years to create, plus dig out of the 1.4 million and be in a better spot with a better lifestyle? Totally irrational question to be asking, right? Well, how do you take 30 years and condense it into the next 3 to 5? And the brain, the subconscious part of your brain is like a heat-seeking missile. When you put that stuff in there, it is going to go to work to find ways to make that happen. And so when you think about number 2 is getting the physical names of the relationships that you have out of, not on a spreadsheet, in written form, in color, on a whiteboard or a flip chart paper that sits in front of you where you work. This is the heat-seeking missile, and it becomes only a matter of time before those people decide that it's their time. So what Rick and I would regularly do together on those, and you mean it was a rudimentary system at best. We have it much more organized now, but Rick didn't look at spreadsheets. Rick never logged into Trello. He didn't like working in that way. But what he did like is the big flip chart tear off pages. And so we would have in color, like the names of all the people, and if they were A's, B's, or C's based on where they were at in the process. We would have another sheet of paper literally on the wall of what the upcoming events were and who was confirmed to go to those events and who we wanted to get to them. And these colored pieces of paper with the contacts and the relationships were in front of all day, every day, the workspace. And the sticky notes. Yes, Selena, sticky notes everywhere. Sticky notes on top of the tear off sheets. Because, I mean, it was basically looked like a bomb had hit at our house at all times in this workspace. But every single person that was on that list that ended up coming into the organization was on one of those sheets. And some of them were on it for days, some of them were on it for weeks, some of them were on it for months, some of them were on them for years, but they all ended up joining our organization at some point in time when the time was right for them. There's some that are still in process. So number 2 is having your relationships of people, and I say this all the time, be really clear about who you want to do business and life with, because you're going to spend more time together. And we're not just, it's not a head count, and we're not looking to just, put numbers on the board. It is being really strategic. Like, who are these people that I want to do business and life with, that I'm going to be excited to see at an event, that if they put themselves on my calendar, for any reason, that I'm going to be energized, because it's who am I meeting? How are we growing and building together? And what are we taking to the next level? So get very intentional. And of course, like for social media, if you've got hundreds or thousands of people that are on your social media, that it's not going to be all of those people. Get very intentional on who are the people that you want to build with and those relationships, and have them visibly surrounding the space that you work, because it is that energy of creation. And as you're doing the work that you're doing, their timing will dictate when that happens for them, but there has to be a space for them. And if it's in your space energetically, you're never going to forget someone or drop the ball with someone, because you're going to look up like Rick did, or we did, when we'd be sitting like having conversations about things. Where's things at with this person and that person? What's next here? And oh, what about that? And it's visibly there. So be very clear, number 2, on and 50 to 100. If you have 50 great people that you have names up that you're working on in some kind of way, because you want to do life and business with them at a higher level, and you keep them up, that's going to be key. So number 2 is is being clear on that list to create momentum. Number 3 is leveraging the tools and resources to help do the work for you. How many of you have seen the brand new Model Explained by Brent Gove? By a show of hands. Okay, 2 people on this call. www.themodelexplained.com is just out as of last week. It is all updated. And oh, by the way, there's a revenue share calculator that's live that you can click through and run whatever scenarios you want to run to see what growing and building an organization would look like here. And that is an EXP tool, but all of that is housed in the modelexplain.com. If you go through and look at that. So how do you use that tool? Do not send it to someone to look at. I'm going to say that again. Do not send it to someone to look at that is not with EXP. What happens when you send that out? I want you to visualize a helium balloon, and the prospect is the balloon. And you take your hand and you let go of the string and set that balloon free to fly up into the God knows where it's going to fly to and land, if you do not control the exposure. Controlling the exposure means that you are holding the string of that balloon at all times, so that you know the experience they're having, because you're walking with and guiding them through that experience. If you send someone the modelexplained.com and say, hey, watch it and we'll talk, they are not watching it. You will be chasing them, and they will stop wanting to speak to you, because they will have not completed what there was for them to complete before you spoke last. And now that balloon is out floating in the ether. So utilize, number 3 is utilize the tools that there are to help you leverage your time, energy, and effort. Give someone who's open, not interested, open to learning, the best quality experience that they can have. And here's how I set it up. Bree, you're open to having a conversation about what's available to you to help take your business and your life to the next level, should you choose to utilize the resources and the platform that we have available. Yes, I'm open to that. Fantastic. When can we find a time to go through what that would look like and connect those dots? We'll need like 45 minutes. And so we schedule that time together. And then once we're together, I would say to Bree, the purpose of our time together today is to help educate you on what's available, connect those dots, and like I am your concierge walking you through this process about how to take your business and your life to the next level. This is recorded. I never say it the same way. So unfortunately, I don't have a script because it always comes out different, but that's the idea, right? And so Brie and I now have a 45-minute slot and we're on Zoom together or we could be in person. And I'll just say to Brie, hey, listen, to make the best use of our time, we're going to look at this together. And as we watch it together, here's what I want you to be doing, Brie. I want you to be looking for 3 things that are either most interesting to you in what we're going to go through, or 3 things it could be that are most interesting or that you want to understand at a deeper level. We're not going to talk about it until the end, but at the end we will have a conversation about it. This is really important because it's going to focus Bree's attention, particularly if we're not in person. And otherwise, we could be on a Zoom like this and we could be watching the model explain together and she's got her phone in her lap and it looks like she's paying attention, but she's really managing an escrow. Right? So if I give, and I know Bree would never do that, but somebody that's not Bree would do that. Um, and so and so with that, I've got to get Bree to focus on what we're going to look at. And this is again, your brain is a heat-seeking missile. If I don't give her a job to do during the time that we're looking at that overview together, natural distractions are going to come in, things are going to happen. I have to get her mind focused so that it's looking for those things so that we can have an intelligent conversation at the end. That overview is 27 minutes long, so that leaves close to 20 minutes at the end for us to have a conversation like, Bree, what was most interesting? What do you want to understand at a deeper level? There's going to be a follow-up, a continuing conversation if we've set it up for 45 minutes, and that is the purpose. Like, let's get more time later today or tomorrow. You guys don't let it go days or weeks because it's gone. It's like the helium balloon going. You've got to keep the energy with the tension on it, like we call it keeping the line tight. Because if you let days go by, you've now taken a process that could be, you've just exponentially extended how long, and life will happen and other things happen. And to recreate interest and energy and get that movement going again is a lot more work than to just keep it going in shorter increments over shorter periods of time. So number 3, number 1 was the vision. Number 2 was being really clear on who are those people, having them in front of you and surrounding you. Number 3 is leveraging the tools to do the heavy lifting and work for you. And then number 4 is, okay, great, we're open to another conversation. Now leverage the people as tools, which for everybody that's on this call, I'm a tool. That means get me in front of your people. Hey, one of the things I love about our community is the people that we get to work with. We're all over the place, but we attract the best of the best, and everybody's got something different to contribute. And this person will be as much or as little support in your growth path moving forward as part of our community. So I want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to meet and, establish a relationship. If you don't like her, that's okay. You never have to talk to her again, but I think you'll like her, right? And just get 30 minutes on my calendar. So you're not doing it alone. So now what are the things that are in place as we're looking at like 90 days to momentum? Is there are things to build to leverage off of in that space. So as someone's like, oh, this is really interesting, or I would want to meet the people and see the culture and have a different experience of that. Well, we have 2 mini events that are actually great events to launch off of. One is Build in Dallas on July 30th, and one is Build LA, which is July 31st and August 1st. So literally, like for people that are, let's just say there's someone that you're having a conversation with and this, goes this week and they're like, yeah, it's like fantastic. I personally will be at both of those events because I'm speaking at them. Build in Dallas. Anyone in Dallas or anyone willing to get to Dallas? perfect. Get them on a call with me. We have the opportunity to meet beforehand. They're going to come to that event and have an experience and learn there. I will see them at the event and be able to spend time with them there and do the work for you. If you're coming to that, I know Debbie's going to be at that event in Dallas. Selena's going to be at that event in Dallas. Debbie's flying in from California. And so that is a stepping stone to the larger event. And it's so think of a ladder of escalation that's building, right? The escalation is EXPCon in October, but all of these steps that happen before are building the relationship, are building the trust, are building the credibility, are building the belief, are building the understanding, are building the vision, and everything steps up to where, of course, like, yeah, I'm going to go in October, right? So get really clear from a vision standpoint, in addition to be able to articulating and speaking your vision into of the future into reality is like how many people that are not yet with me um, at EXP do I want to come with me to EXPCon? And for those of you that have organizations, as much as we'd like to think that it's a hands down given that people aren't going to miss that event, there's going to be a lot of people that are not yet planned for that event, right? And we think differently because we understand what it takes to grow and build a thriving organization. And events are non negotiable because of big decisions are made at big events. But what most people miss is this space in between to create the value of I couldn't imagine not being there because I've got people that are going to be there. I've got other people that are looking at coming, and all of that work starts now, right? To the pinnacle of the event as those things escalate. So Selena's got the links for Build Dallas and Build LA that are going in the chat so you can see the details there. And just always be thinking like, if you say, hey, you want to come, we're in July and you're like, oh, well, our convention's going to be in October and you invite them to October and they say no, now what are you inviting them to? Versus you're in conversation with someone right now and it's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing July 30th? Are you around? Like, you available? Yeah, I'm available. Why? Oh, there's this incredible event. It's called Build. It only happens once a year. It's like the best of the best, like, right? I'm flying to Dallas for that event. Do you want to come with me? And they're like, no, I'm not going to be able to make that one. It's too short a notice. Oh, okay, well, we can look at EXPCon in October then. Unless you want to meet me in LA on July 31st, because I'm going to be there too, right? So if you're not physically going to be there, it's always easiest to invite to something that you are going to be at, because if you're inviting to something that you're not going to, in people's minds, it's like, well, if it's that great, why aren't you going? Like, it's hard to invite somebody to something that you're not going to be personally going to. So that's the first thing, is like make a decision and then make sure that that decision is a valuable and strategic piece of your overall plan. Um, so uh, I've been talking a lot. I'm going to come up for air. Any questions, comments, uh, personal experiences on any of the topics that we've covered so far, and how to create momentum, which was communicating your vision, being very clear on the relationships that you want in your life and your business, utilizing the tools and not making more work for yourself. The tools being like the model explained, and then also getting people in front of multiple exposures of other people in our community. It could be Selena, it could be me, third party validation calls, and then leveraging the escalation of events to build to larger events. Any on any of those topics so far?
I have questions. I have a lot of questions now. I'm kidding. I only have one. Well, maybe two.
Yeah.
So we're still super new, as you and Selena know. I think it's like not even 2 months in, like 6 weeks. And because of the switch within the first 4 weeks, we got two team members, which yay, we're doing our photo ops tomorrow. Super excited about that. And then we're gonna launch public facing to the world. Like, oh, not only did we just join EXP after building out this massive community for another brand, we are now a team that has more than two members. So I'm looking at strategizing how to maximize this in the next 30 to 40 days. Um, because when I do post, my posts perform really well. Even if it doesn't look like it, the metrics on the back end, because there's a lot of looky-loos for sure. And then people slide in my DMs and ask a bunch of questions. And I've already had people kind of hint to the idea that they don't know if the brokerage I was formerly with is for them anymore, but I'm also not solid on my footing with everything EXP yet because it's still new.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, here is what I would invite you to do and keep it really simple and just say, hey, listen, one of the reasons why we made this, um, like why we're doing this is because we see that this is our growth path for our future. And part of that is to be aligned with the people that we are going to be aligned with in business that are literally that have a national presence and are going to give us, more of a national presence and reach as well. And so I would, if people are open to it and they just want to have a conversation about their business and their future and what's important to them, you could start off with a third party validation call and then be in that conversation of, you know, we can get you a time. Let's have the conversation. And it's not a conversation, and someone put in the chat. It may or may not be a conversation around brokerage. It's more a conversation around what's next, what's the growth path, and are they on track? And here's the question I like to ask people. If you keep doing exactly what you've been doing the last 3 to 5 years for the next 3 to 5 years, is it going to get you where you want to be in your business and your life?
Valid. I have a girl who, like me, when I switched, was looking at a different organization in EXP, but she called me casually based on some silly stuff I put on Facebook, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you said that!" And so then we started talking, and I sent her the Empire Builders website, and I was like, "Listen, I am so happy with where I'm at." So now I'm wondering, because she's also a personality you can't be too pushy with, if I should lean into that more and see if we can be more of value for her versus the organization she was exploring, or just like let it kind of flow.
I think it just depends on the relationship that you have with her, right? Because there's front-facing stuff that people could be exploring where they have no relationships, right? And that just means they're going through websites and doing stuff. And so yeah, I think the offers on the table. Like this is a people business. I was on a third-party validation call yesterday with someone who's not on this call right now, but she had seen online, doesn't have relationships with, but was looking at another organization. And so the question came up, well, like, what's different about your organization versus this one, where she didn't know anybody, didn't have any relationships other than, like what was on social media. And, so my thing is always this, like I cannot speak for anybody else's organization or their culture or what they're doing. I can only speak for ours. And so what I told her and what I do tell people is that for people that join our organization, we're not looking for everybody to join our organization, but for the people that do join our organization, they're people that we want to spend time with and that we want to do life and business with. And the context for that decision is this is my last move in real estate and I'm going to be at your funeral. And so we work together and invest in each other in that way over the long term to grow. And so if a community and collaboration like that is something that you want to be a part of and you'll never outpace or outgrow what's happening in this community, you'll always have a place to grow into. Like that is one thing that's very unique about who we are and how we work. And so for you in that conversation with that person, there's so many people to be able to now go, oh, this person's in our community, right? It could be a conversation with Jim Knowlton, right? And oh my gosh, now the systems part of your business and how you're going to leverage it and get better lifestyle and quality of business and life. Oh, you got to meet Selena, right? And then like Casey, if you want to totally disrupt and take, 10 to 15 years and have that happen in the next 3 years and have fun doing it and change, shake things up and be in a totally different place 3 years from now, one where you pinch yourself and are like, oh my gosh, how is that possible? Then you got to meet Casey, right? And so you can, without it being about EXP at all, have it be about the people that are here that are choosing to do business and life together. And, in that, I always say business moves at the speed of trust, right? And so the belly to belly nature where you can actually get people those experiences. Yes, there's so much that can be done to influence via social, but everybody knows that what goes on social is what we want people to see. And so there's conversations that happen that would never happen in the context of any social content that happen in a one-on-one setting like this. And so the more you can get those people that are open, right? They don't have to be interested if they're open to a conversation and those relationships can start being built and the the opportunity to have it be specific, focused, one-on-one time for that person, and digging in establishing that relationship, and then also value gets created, right? That the more of that you can do and leverage that for people, it's going to be, you'll grow faster, right? It's the leverage point of not doing it all yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Did I fully answer it, or was there more?
No, that's good. I mean, I'm sure I'll have follow-ups, but it's like I have to explore and see what works for me and then marinate and come back.
Yeah, for sure. Fatima, yours said you spoke to someone that's not happy with their brokerage, not ready to make a change yet, expressed you'd like to be part of a mastermind. Resources, yes. So, um, the Free Friday coaching call, Selena, will you do a screen share and show everybody where they can find those? The Free Friday coaching call is a mastermind that happens the first and third Fridays of every month at 9 a.m. Pacific. We have all of those calls housed in the recording. You'll find them at empirebuilders.pro under the resources tab. And you'll see that Free Friday coaching first and third Friday. Sometimes they're EXP agents that are presenting. Sometimes they're not EXP agents that are presenting. But the topics and the content are absolutely incredible. So Fatima, that would be use it strategically though. So if someone's going to be on that call and you're going to invite them to the call, make sure that you've got a time later that day to have a conversation with them about what they learned, what they took away, or what they're going to implement or integrate into their business or their mindset as a result of being on that call. So it's not just the call for the sake of the call, it's the call for the sake of that being a setup into a conversation where you can dig deeper in with that person, which means it's going to be really helpful if you've listened to the call as well.
Okay, no, that's helpful. Yeah, I mean, I have people that I'm trying to speak to create value. I mean, I do feel that some people feel like they're lacking community or just lacking just tools or talking about things on a higher level. So, I mean, I do see that there are different angles that are that agents need. So that's great. So that would be then a good case of just the community then to just invite them to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And those larger conversations and they're interactive, so they're incredible. The people that we have on there are incredible.
Okay, there's another question I put on the chat. Like, if someone is super focused in a local brokerage in San Francisco, but they're growing, they probably have some growing pains because some brokerages have a really hard time, just the tools to leverage isn't quite there. But they have a local presence and they are known locally. Like, how do you have that conversations with agents that are super local focused?
I love that. So this is a mindset shift that I like to have a conversation. And this is when you think about real estate agents, they are local focused in part, right? Because it's like, how far am I willing to drive?
Right.
Right. And so the mindset that goes with a real estate agent is I'm in a local business. And if we can get an agent thinking differently, and particularly in a San Francisco market, right? People come from all over the world to see that place. They're,
Mm.
and it is in such a place that is in such a high demand. The conversation that I would have with that person is that it's really easy to become very narrow focused on a specific market that we're in. And when we do that, we miss the opportunity for national exposure, national presence, and building business nationally that is a feeder to that local area, right? And so where that conversation comes into play is if you're where you're at right now, which is in a local brick and mortar San Francisco based brokerage that is only focused local brick and mortar right there, versus you're with a company that has national and international exposure where agents are working together, and now you keep your specialty market of where you're selling business, but now you have agents that are in, everybody knows the power of a network, right? It's like Super Bowl Sunday, the power of a network. Who gets on those? The commercials, the advertising, it's the power of that network. Like, people pay tons of money to be able to do that because they understand the power of the network. Well, if you're in a small brick and mortar, you've got the power of a local network with a finite number of people, versus if you can be hyper focused in that market, but be in a network that is going to be a feeder for you into that market where people are working and collaborating, and business can go to an entirely different level. I don't even remember who it was that we were talking about the specifics of what happened. Oh, it was Joseph Trujillo. I just interviewed him. And he's a real estate agent in Southern California with EXP. He'd gone out of production the last 2 years. And January 1st this year, he decided to go back into production. And so year to date, he's closed 18 transactions. Well, six of those have come from referrals within the EXP network because he went into our network of EXP agents and he specifically, like with his resume, and hey, for referrals in this area, I'm your guy. He's closed 6 deals, agent to agent referrals, because he marketed himself into the EXP network. And and so for that agent, like, do they have that access? No, because they have relationships that are a brick and mortar that's fixed in the area that they're doing business. They don't have the power of the network behind them to be able to grow and take that business to the next level. That's where I would start that conversation, and to get that as a way to be thinking differently about what's possible, right? And when you change someone's vision of what's possible, or they see something that's impossible where they're at that becomes possible somewhere else, it's like, well, okay, well, that could be interesting. How do we start to put those pieces together? And how would I leverage a national or an international network to double or triple my business here and become that person? Like, you
Got
don't
it.
have an option with that right now, the way that it sits.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. So for in the context of it's so funny because I'm in Fast Attract right now, which is the pilot program that EXP's launched, and they very much want everybody saying it's attraction, not recruiting. And I think that's such BS because like, well, we want to attract business to us, and okay, be attractive. That's great. But when, like, I look at recruiting as, where's my in with a person that when I understand about their life or business that they've got gaps and I can help them get to the next level, I'm absolutely going to be a resource to support them in doing that. And that's recruiting. Don't be ashamed of that. Like, I'm going to recruit people all day long to help them get what they want. And as I help them get what they want, oh, I'm also getting what I want, which is the vision that I have about the impact that I want to make, the community that I want to continue to expand and grow and build. But it all starts that, meeting people where they're at, Fatima. So that's why I would start the conversation with that agent, because that's where they're at.
That's yeah, I mean this is very helpful. I think because I'm just working on wrapping my mind around how to create value and just have conversations and just I mean I've been through enough brokerages where I do see that where there are holes and cracks and what agents are looking for. It's just being able to articulate it and be able to get that. So I mean every conversation and every training that you guys do is great because it helps me form some framework.
Cool. So here's what I want you to think about creating value. And it's a different take on it. My ex-husband, and I shared this on a call recently, was he played rugby professionally. And I would say, what would you say is a winning strategy for rugby? And he's like, oh, you just got to find a gap and use it to your advantage. And until you find what the gap is, you can't use it to your advantage. And I'm like, this is interesting. Like, how does this apply to business? And so is value will be determined based on finding the gap. Until you know what the gap is for someone, it's like throwing eggs up against the wall and hoping it sticks. And it could be, valuable content to someone that needs that content or that message. But if that's not something that I need, it's not valuable to me. So therefore it doesn't influence me, it doesn't impact me, and it doesn't do anything to help me because it's not where I have a gap. So when you're looking for places or ways to add value, it is got to be understanding what that gap is, because otherwise, if you don't know what the gap is and you just start throwing out what your perception of value is and go, well, I'm providing all this value, but yeah, but it's not valuable to me. So you're not
Right.
going to move me with it. And so identifying what that gap is, and then once you know the gap, it's easy to start to add value, because you just go, oh, what are all the different ways that I could add value now that I know what the gap is for that person? So, like in a social media context, if you know who your avatar is or your target market, and you are like, these are the people that you're messaging to already, they're following you, like, they're following Bree. She's got like a target market clearly, and she's got messaging that goes to that target market. She's building value around people that would be following her because those are the gaps that they already have that they're looking to fill, and they're looking to her to fill those gaps, right? So that's a one-to-many approach. But then when you get down into the specifics of relationship to relationship, agent to agent, it is being able to establish those kind of relationships and conversations where you're able to identify those gaps. And if you're not able to identify gaps, and you can then speak to expanding someone's vision with like a question of, hey, okay, it sounds like things are going great for you. And, if you do exactly what you've been doing the next 3 to 5 years of what you've done the last 3 to 5, are you going to be where you want to be in your business and your quality of life?
Right.
Most people are going to say no. And then, well, what if we could have a different conversation around that? And what if over the next 3 to 5 years, you actually could be? Well, what would that be? How would that look different than it is today? If anything's possible. Don't go based on what you've done up until now. Like, if anything's possible, what would you want that to be? And you get someone in a conversation where they're changing the way they look at things, and like they don't need to have to know how it's going to happen. Let's just focus on if it could be totally different 3 to 5 years from now in a perfect world and you didn't have any constraints. Like, how would you want that to be? You've got to get somebody to get a paintbrush out to start to look, to dream, to explore, to be in possibility, because particularly with the way the real estate, market has been the last couple of years, different and changing, and, which is kind of like we talk about it over the last couple of years, but the truth is it's always different and changing. And then you just look at how that lands or falls for people. A lot of people put down the paintbrush and aren't thinking about what's possible because they're thinking about what's realistic and how do I get needs met versus possibility. Like, I can't have my head in the clouds right now because I've got to have my feet on the ground, working and getting it done, because it's taking more to get it done now than it did, 4 years ago or 3 years ago. And so for you to just be a person that comes along and has that conversation with them is going to be in some ways, like, I guarantee you there's not people at their brokerage having that conversation with them right now, or encouraging them to think differently or look differently or ask a different set of questions, and what's possible versus what's realistic. And so if you automatically now become a person of value when you're willing to change the conversation. And for somebody who wants something more, better, or different, they will rise to the occasion and want to engage with you in that conversation. And for somebody who's like, I'm just going to grind it out and keep doing what I've been doing the next 3 to 5 years, and hopefully I'll be blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, this is definitely not the kind of person that I want to be in business or life with, because they're not in somewhere where they want something more, better, or different, or somebody who's clearly growth oriented or change oriented. They're very much stay the same. And I'm not going to drag anybody or convince them to have a better life in business than the one that they're committed to creating for themselves.
Gotcha. Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's talk about something really exciting as we put a button on this 90 days to momentum. So number one, vision, how you communicate your vision, speaking the future into existence. Number two, having it clearly around you, the people that you're not yet in business with life with, that you'd like to be or take it to the next level. Number three, how you're leveraging the tools, whether that's the model explained by being someone that exposes that information with someone, and or those next steps around utilizing the third-party validation calls to get people in building relationships within our communities to promote to what's the next impending event, which would be, as in this escalation of events, Build Dallas and Build LA the end of July. Two, EXPCon that's going to be in October. Now, what's going to happen next week is you're all going to see an early bird promotion for the yacht party, dinner party that we are having exclusively for our community at EXPCon. And that is happening Monday, October the 20th. Thank you, Selena. Happening Monday, October the 20th. We're doing early bird tickets for those, which means the price will go up. So for everyone that's here, and this is a great thing to get, and I don't know it's so funny. A lot of times people will commit more to an event like a yacht party than they will to a real estate conference, just because, like, hey, come meet great people. It's going to be exclusive. It's going to be fun. Like, the best of the best people are going to be all on this boat, and who you're going to meet there, you'll have no idea what it's going to mean for your business and life over the next year. Like, seriously, to get in such close proximity and confined proximity for a few hours, like it will be a game changer for you. So, I mean, if you want to promote that to get people to convention. But look for that as a heads up. It's going to be coming out. We did it last year. We had close to, what was it, 180 people that were on the boat, I think. It's going to be dinner. There's going to be, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be even better this year than it was last year because we're going to take everything that we learned last year about what worked and what could be improved, and we've made adjustments into what can be improved. That said, if any of you have sponsors that you would like to have the opportunity to get in front of that caliber of people for that, and be part of the event in that way, get in contact with Selena because we are definitely taking sponsors for that. And again, based on who's going to be on that boat, could be great for someone's business. So that is the foundation. And actually, I said, 90 days to build momentum. Well, that gives us the entire month of October. If we're looking at the next 90 days, which is July, August, and September. So we actually have a 120-day run, it's more like a 110-day run if you look at when it is. But like, let's focus on the next 90 days and that can create momentum. And then you go, oh my goodness, okay, it doesn't matter if they come to EXPCon or not. Yes, let's have everybody get to EXPCon, as many people as possible. But then October, November, and December, if someone's looking at making a change and where they're going to do business and they want to start the new year fresh, people from a conversion standpoint, October, November, December are huge months for attraction and recruiting because of people are starting to like go, oh, where am I at and really where do I want to be moving forward? And they will make change during this time more so than any other time of the year. So if you utilize the next 90 days as a runway and a ramp in the process that we talked about to get positioned for the people that come, major decisions made at major events, it'll be a no-brainer. For the people that don't, you're now in progress way further down the field or the road than you would have been otherwise for that timing, and conversion as people are entering into Q4 of this year. So I always say it's like being at the right place at the right time and taking action is the determining factor. And so we are at the right place at the right time. The Fatima, the details, we're in Miami for EXPCon. And so the yacht party is going to be in Miami. The details will come out for that. It'll be close to where we're all at for the convention center. Yeah. All right. We have 3 minutes left. Any questions, comments, burning desire to share something that you just have been waiting to say for the last hour and haven't before we say goodbye? All right. I appreciate each and every one of you. We will not have a Free Friday coaching call this week because it's 4th of July. So we will all be out 4th of Julying. It will be resumed on the 18th, which will be, July 18th, Friday, July 18th. And so until then, everybody make it have a safe and fabulous 4th. We'll be back here on Tuesday the 15th for Free Friday or for our builders call. We've got systems with Selena and building a sales team. Those you can go to Empire Builders Pro under the resources tab for where to catch those this month. And anybody, that could be a great thing also, Fatima, to plug somebody into if they're wanting to utilize systems to get their business to grow. That's a great mastermind conversation for people that are not yet with EXP that you can include them in, or people that are maxed out capacity wise in their own personal business and looking at, okay, do I want to build a sales team and how? The A to Z's of building a team with Selena sales team. You can utilize that as well for somebody that's not currently yet with us. So lots of opportunities to plug people in, meet them where they're at, and be of value based on what's valuable for them at this point in time in their journey and in their life. I appreciate each and every one of you. Great to see so many faces. Make it an incredible rest of your day. Upward and onward.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.